Hello, and welcome to Silicon Valley Girls Chat Over Tea. I'm Gloria.
And I'm Rosetta. Hi, everyone.
It's so nice to be able to chat with you all today. And we always like to come at you with the spirit of love and kindness and to share knowledge, to share information. So we're looking forward to hanging out with you, whether it is your first time or you are a repeat guest. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, welcome, everyone. And we really appreciate you coming back and returning if you are a frequent visitor of our chats. We're going to get right into it. And if you don't know, we'd like to start off with talking about the teas that we're going to be chatting to. And I'm going to do mine. Mine is by a company called Awareness. I've had this before, and it is organic lemon ginger. It's a herbal supplement. There you go. And the ingredients are, I will find that and read it to you. The ingredients are um, proprietary blend, organic ginger, organic lemon peel, organic lemongrass leaf. And that's basically what it is. And I like to put 2 tea bags in my tea. I've been doing that lately because I just like I want like a brighter, bolder flavor. So that's what I do. And then what are you drinking today, Gloria?
Today, I am drinking a tea by a company called Harmony Organic Tea, and it is hot where I am. And this can be indulged either cold, it's a cold brew, but you can also do it warm. Today, I'm doing the cold version. The ingredients are organic green tea, organic matcha, organic peach flavor, organic mango flavor, and that's it. Simple, easy, breezy. And it is peach mango.
Very
So I made it and then I iced it. So cheers.
all right. Cheers. Ooh, mine has a good, strong flavor.
Yes, mine does too. I did the two tea bags too. I
Yeah,
guess
mine have.
that either means that back in the day they made the bags fuller, stronger, because when you put that second bag, it just brings the flavor to life.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
All right. Well, so let's get started. As always, with our chats, our thoughts and prayers go out to the universe. We believe we've got to learn how to love one another in order to have peace. We have got to love and respect each other, embrace the diversities, and just have a good day and a good life. So that's important for us. So today is National Mango Day. You wonder why I'm doing peach mango tea? Mango is a very unusual fruit. Some people like it, some people don't. I happen to love mango. And one time when I was in Singapore, they serve mango as a dessert. And there's something about the culture that they love when you slurp. So, Americans, we don't slurp. And the juice was like running, and I was like, oh my God, I have to fix it. I went, and the table erupted. I made their night. So I love organic mango. So happy National Mango Day.
And I like mangoes when they're ripe. I actually like the yellow mangoes. They're smaller, but I think they're tastier, and I love
More
the
flavor.
combination of mango and coconut. I just don't know why.
Ooh,
That's a great combination.
never tried that. I'll have to add that to my list.
Yes. Okay, not only is it Mango Day, but it is something called National Fragile X Awareness Day. Now, you're probably wondering, what is that? And I had the same thing when I noticed it was Fragile X Day. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what it is. Fragile X is actually a health condition. Well, it's a condition that people have. It's quite common, but it's the mutation of the FMR1 gene. And sometimes, well, they know it as Fragile X syndrome. So let's get that straight. And it is common and it is a form of inherited intellectual disability, and it impacts more than men more than women. Now, here are some of the signs and symptoms of this Fragile X syndrome: attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism, learning disabilities, elongated face and ears, soft skin, and it is a connective tissue problem impacting ears, feet, joints, and the palate. Testing and treatments are available, but no cure as of yet. So, because they're saying more research is needed for this. Now, it's kind of hard to really determine that you have Fragile X awareness because, as I said, the symptoms are a lot like ADD, ADHD, autism, so you can get that kind of confused. But I think if you go for a test, then they can actually tell you exactly, okay, you have this Fragile X syndrome. But otherwise, you would just say, I have attention deficit, I'm ADD, ADHD, I have autism. But that's what
Right.
it is. All right. And then we have a birthday today. Big celebrity Selena Gomez. That's her birthday. If you don't know who she is the famous singer and actress married to Benny Blanco this year. And
Yes.
some of her, you might know her in some of her more famous roles. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but I do because when my son was younger, he used to watch Barney and Friends. Do you remember that purple dinosaur?
That's
So
right.
she was in Barney and Friends along with the other singer. Shoot, now I'm blanking. Demi Lovato. Demi
Oh,
Lovato was
okay.
also in Barney and Friends. That's why I know she was there. Then she also starred in a little show called Wizards of Waverly Place, and she's done she's come out with many albums and singles, and the most recent and still continuing show she's in with Martin Short and Steve Martin is Only Murders in the Building. I love that
Yes.
show. Love it, love it, love it. And that's when I really truly became a huge fan of Selena Gomez because those three make an amazing trio and they're funny as heck, so I love them. So that's your
Excellent.
birthday. Happy birthday, Selena Gomez.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. All right. Now, I'm going to go on to something that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. And I said I'm going to do updates as often as possible. So I'm going to do another update. And this is in the case of the death of 18-year-old Nolan Xavier Wells. He was an 18-year-old teenager that on July the 4th, he went with his friends from Ocean Springs in Mississippi to Horn Island, and he never returned that evening. And when he didn't return that evening, his mother actually filed a report, missing persons. The next day, they went to look out for him and they did a search party. And unfortunately, on the Monday after 4th of July, they found him in the waters with his face down. Now, we've done so many updates. I don't even know where to begin on this, but time has gone by since 4th of July. There's a lot of different speculations. Two different stories are emerging. But I want to talk about some new information that has emerged. Now, they're saying that this is one side is saying that Nolan Wells decided to stay on the island and not return with his friends back to Ocean Springs because he had met this gal and he wanted to spend more time with her. But then there's another story saying that he did not stay with this gal and wanted to go back with some friends. Now, what has emerged is that this girl in question, we find out that her name is Katie. She was the last one to be seen with Nolan. And she said that she did not stay behind with Nolan. What happened was she left and Nolan said, I'll be okay. I'm going to stay back and I'm going to go back with my friends. Now, he did not tell her which friends he's going to go back with. So we're all of us assuming he's going to go back with the friends he came with.
Right.
Now, they were thinking that he stayed behind with her. But now this Katie girl has gone missing too. they're wondering where she is. But they did find her, and her mother can collaborate that she was at home. So this Katie girl did come home, and they know where she is. She's not missing. She's actually not missing. We don't have a last name for this Katie girl, but we find out that she'd gone home safely that day on a separate boat and had been reachable the entire time by her phone. This came from her mother, Gracie McCormack, and according to Gracie, her daughter had no account of what happened to Nolan after they parted Horn Island. Now, according to attorney Ben Crump, Katie said he had intended to rejoin his friends that he planned to get back with in the boat with them before they left the island. And that's not what his friends are saying. He did not get back in the same boat. So let's cut a long story short and jump to, there's a lot of different stories going on here. We have a lot of different things, but there's some questions. If that was Nolan's intent to stay behind and go with his friends, what happened between that intent of his and when his friends left without him? So that's the big question. Then the hardest part of this is for the family is some evidence has need to be come into attention for this. Number one, at time of disappearance, Nolan was listed as wearing black shorts, but another person on the island says he was wearing blue shorts. Then parents were trying to retrieve Nolan's car keys, which was left at one of his friends' driveways, which was on that day, July the 4th. He left his car in his friend's driveway. The father went to try and retrieve the car keys, but there was something happened where the friend said he didn't know where the car keys were. Then he said, I'm going to go and look for the car keys. And the father overheard him talking to this girl. And the girl said, well, you need to go and check because the car keys have been on the Xbox, which had been there the entire time. That's what the father had heard. So there's all these different stories. But today, we actually heard that the autopsy results came in. And they did air it online and have been very detailed as to what has been happening with this autopsy. Now, I don't want to do all of it because it's kind of long, but Dr. Roger Mitchell, a board certified forensic pathologist, was the one that did the second autopsy. Now, the preliminary findings report presented on July the 19th, cause of death undetermined, depending investigation. Manner of death undetermined, pending further investigation. The second autopsy on the body of Nolan Wells, date of death unknown, and the second autopsy was performed on July the 10th. Now, this is what was read for the autopsy. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations. He's reading what the Dr. Roger Mitchell is saying from the findings of the autopsy. He's saying that this forensic pathology identified several limitations during the second autopsy that created barriers to establish a definite cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. Dr. Mitchell didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered. Only the Mississippi examiner would have seen that. The second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked changes, marked decomposition, and this can obscure the presence and absence and bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy. Examination for these reasons, additional discretion procedures not performed on the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep tissues, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and the legs. And this ruled out injuries and deep tissue injuries that were identified. However, dissection of the back of the head during the posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8-inch 12 by 8 focal area, a red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's osteopetal bone. So he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the osteopetal bone, and he saw red discoloration, and they saw it in the photos as well. Now, there's several things that they cannot come to conclusion because they're saying that from the time that they received the body from the first pathologist examination, they were missing a few things which they did not have, which was the most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric content. So they are hopeful that the Mississippi medical examiner will give Dr. Mitchell an opportunity to see the photographs and their observations to the condition of Nolan Wells at the time of July the 4th, because they were the ones that actually saw the body before the second autopsy. So they're hoping, what they're saying in conclusion is that there's going to be full transparency to this. The other thing that we want to know is that they kept saying that the very insignificant that there was parts that were missing from what they were given from the first autopsy to the second autopsy, that the structure of the throat, the neck structure was missing. So you can't do much without that. And there's actually 6 questions that are still, 7 questions that are still outstanding with this autopsy. Number 1, what were the circumstances that led to Nolan's Wells when he entered the water? Number 2, what was the body position when it was found? They say a member of the United Cajun Navy said that he was found face down and fully clothed. Number 3, was there water in the airway? Number 4, is there any evidence of injury to the anterior neck structure? Number 5, is there any evidence of intracranial hemorrhaging? This is very significant because he would not have been able to observe that at the initial, because of the initial examiner would have been able to do that, but they wouldn't have been able to on the second autopsy. Number 6, was the composition of the stomach, what was the composition of the stomach content? When he was found, how long had he been in the water? How long had it been since his last meal? And number 7, what are the toxicology report findings? So the best classification for the cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells is undetermined, pending investigation. Now, this forensic pathologist reserves the right to review and incorporate additional forensic pathology information into his opinion as it becomes available. So the above opinions are expressed to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that Dr. Roger A. Mitchell, dated July 19th, 2026. So what he's saying is that there are some things that he can't do because it's missing from when they transported the body from the first examiner to the second autopsy. Now, they're saying all this, and there's so many unanswered questions, right? So many unknowns. And I've actually been really fixated on looking on at updates of these stories. And I came across this YouTube channel, and now they're coming up, even after the autopsy reports came out, they're coming up with new videos and pictures showing Nolan Wells on a ship, on a boat, and some people are coming forward. There's one young boy coming forward saying he did bump into Nolan. He ran into Nolan, and from his observation, he observed that Nolan Wells was intoxicated. So he was slurring his words, intoxicated, and he had been drinking a lot. So we don't know really what's been happening. They've been pictures shown of him on a boat, and it looks similar to the boat that his friends had brought out to Horn Island. They're saying that it is not unusual when you're going in the water that you leave your cell phone in a dry bag. So they're showing pictures or videos of a lot of people in the water, a lot of kids in the water, and none of them have their cell phones. Doesn't look like they're taking pictures or they're using their cell phones. They're just in the water. So, but it looks like on the boat, there's a yellow dry bag where everyone has put their cell phone in. So they're saying that it could be that Nolan had left his cell phone in a dry bag and forgot to actually retrieve his cell phone when his friends had left the island, which is why they're saying that they have tracking that the phone has been back on land. So it's really, really like up in the air. We have to wait for the toxicology report. And they're saying that once a toxicology report comes back, they're going to actually figure out, like, if it goes to the grand jury, like if it goes in front of the jury. So this is really, really a lot of information, but hopefully you can follow along and maybe go on YouTube yourself and look for more information. But it's not conclusive. So there's no real answers. More investigation has to be done. And they're saying on Nolan's parents' side, hopefully that the first examiner is going to be very transparent, and they're going to ask Nolan's family and representatives going to ask all the information they need and gather so that they have the right information to come up with what happened and at the time of his death. So there you have it. That's a lot of information. I don't know about you, Gloria. Have you been watching or doing some research on this? What are your thoughts?
Um, like you, it's 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 information overwhelm because you don't know what to believe. Um, I just know children treat their devices like an extension of their hands. And if they all had a cell phone in a bag, why wouldn't they leave the bag with his phone in it until he got out the water? Why would you take the bag and the phones and just get on the boat?
Good
The
question.
picture, there was a picture that showed Nolan in some blue shorts. I never saw him in black shorts. And he's on the boat. You can tell he's pretty distinctive. He's a black kid, and his back is turned. And then when they show the group picture, it's the same blue shorts. So that was another moment. Attorney Crump said that in the press conference he did, that the independent autopsy also found some red discolorations on the back of his head. And TMZ has a video that shows Nolan on the boat. And the timing of that picture is after they said that the kids had left. So there's some discrepancies there. There's a young man, Lucas Avis, and he said that he thought Nolan might have been swept up by an undertone and accidentally drowned. But that hasn't been confirmed yet. It's just very sad because the parents don't really have closure because they don't know what happened. And when you were talking earlier about missing pieces, so what, I mean, I understand he was face down in the water. Are they alluding to something went in his mouth and ate the body parts? I mean,
So they're saying that because they don't have the neck structure, they're saying that they can't tell if there was water in the airways. Because usually what happens is when you drown, you gulp up a lot of water goes into your
right.
airways.
But why don't they have?
They don't have it because it was extracted when the first examiner did the first autopsy, and she didn't give that back to them. She didn't give it to the second Dr. Roger Mitchell when he was
Right.
about to do his autopsy. That was not given to them.
See, that's another thing, different people taking different body parts away. It's just it's unsettling. And, I also wanted to acknowledge that Tyler Perry paid for the funeral services, and Nolan was laid to rest on, well, the funeral services was on Monday. They still have the body because they're trying to make sure they don't want to dispose of the body and then find out, oh, we should have run one more test. So it is definitely continuing. Um, the mom wanted the services to be a celebration of life. And it was the eulogy was by Reverend Al Sharpton, and it was at the Center Point Church in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And I'm sure because Hollywood was affiliated with it, there were way more people there than would have normally been for just a regular child. Like Rosetta, I hope that answers will come about. It's still a lot is yet to figure out what is going on. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the final thing I do want to say is that this is great that the parents are trying to make this more like of a news story and try and get more investigations and autopsies done, because there have been other cases of black young kids uh, just gone missing, or they say they drowned and then that was the end of that. Nothing really came
Yeah.
about. So hopefully there will be some kind of justice, and something will be done. But it's really important to figure out how this Nolan Wells actually entered the body of water. That's what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hope, yeah, we'll keep up to date, and it's just sad. And I also want to get some closure
Closure.
and figure out what actually happened, and hopefully the truth will avail sooner or later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we're always talking about wildfires. So yesterday around 5:08 p.m., I received an alert on my phone that says evacuation is in place. Leave the Alameda County, immediately. Only take what you need and evacuate. And I'm like, there's nothing going on. So I start looking around, and it's called what is it? It is the Little Fire. So what happened is off of I-680, which is a freeway here locally, and there's a major exit called the Sonol Grade. You hear it every morning on the radio. There's an accident, there's a slowdown. It is infamous to all of us that live here. And there was a fire, and the fire was moving pretty rapidly, burned in a short period of time about 1,000 acres. Even at this point, it's only 40% contained. And yet the mayor, Jack Blah, he said that they woke up this morning to find out, and he's very grateful that not a single structure had been reported as being lost in the the fire. And there are still some population areas where they don't want people to go home. But even when they told people to leave, people were like, that doesn't have nothing to do with me. It can't. And Rosetta and I talked a lot when Los Angeles had those fires, and they lost a lot. So while it may not look like it can turn deadly, don't take the chance. If you got an alert like I did, follow the steps of the firemen, because you don't want firemen trying to go in to get you out when they should be working on saving someone else's life. So the fire is still burning, yet they've been able to put some things to kind of contain it 40%. And I hope as the day goes on, it will be more like 90%.
Yeah, I did see something about that, the Tri-Valley area, and it looked like it was moving quite fast. So I'm pretty, happy to hear that no structures were really damaged or anything.
That was shocking. That was
Yeah.
very surprising.
Yes, yes. Yeah. All right. So we like to watch Dancing with the Stars, Gloria and I. And right now, they have a new show which is still Dancing with the Stars, but it's called The Next Pro. And what they're trying to do is they did their own little, probably, I don't know how they found these dancers, professional dancers, but they went around and found these professional dancers. I think they may have had to do some auditions or something. And
Right,
they they came up
right,
with, yeah, so they finally came up with, is it a set of guys and a set of girls, and what they're going to do is they're going to go through, and each week they're going to compete to become the next pro in the fall season. Now
right.
I only watched last week's show, and the two main judges are going to be consistent are Mark Dallas and his mother.
Yes,
The other judge will be a rotating professional pro, and the host is Robert Irwin. So the last week, it was Derek Huff, who was one of the rotating judges, and he was their mentor. And each week, they're going to have the rotating judge, who is the mentor also, put out a challenge for these professional dancers. And
yes,
last week, it was the guys had to do the jive, and the women had to do the samba. But what the twist was that the guys were going to be partnered with another guy, and the women were going to be paired with another woman. And what they were going to judge the contestants on was technical, their techniques. So the guys seemed to be, I thought they seemed to be good at the beginning, but then when they went to do their kind of like rehearsals with Derek Huff, he wasn't really that um, he didn't have what was I going to say? What's the word for it? Any confidence in their abilities,
right,
because he said that they were
right.
lacking and they needed to step it up. The women
Yes,
he saw, they were there to really, come and give their A game. Um, the only thing that I felt was kind of unfair, and because I'm Asian, a lot of times when we have like singing competitions, American Idol, The Voice, dancing competitions, it seems like there's lack of Asians. They usually have one or two token Asians, and they usually don't really hone in on these Asians. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do want representation of more Asians. But I found that there was one gal that they did have in this competition, and they didn't even have her speak. Like they would talk, like they would show all the other girls, and all the other girls would talk about how excited they were, blah blah blah. But when it came to this girl, they showed her a lot, but she didn't have any like vocal airing time, which got
Right.
me annoyed. The only thing that she came on and said was, "Yeah, I think I'm a bit weak in my flexibility." That's basically all she said. Basically, the others had a lot more airtime and could speak more. So, for all of you watching that are making shows like this, please try and get more Asian representation and have them be able to vocalize more. Um, the outcome of the show, it was a really good show. I kind of enjoyed it. I liked seeing their rehearsals. And when it came time to showcasing their skills in front of the judges, I really enjoyed that. They really did. The men did step it up, and the women stepped it up as well. There was a bit of, controversy among Mark Ballas and his mom because she said, if it's jive, I really want more jive. And I want to see technique. Some of them brought it, and I thought some of them there were a bit weak and they could have done better. But in the end, I don't know if it's each show, but this show, one guy and one girl got eliminated. And the Asian girl was one of the bottom two. So, but luckily she did not get eliminated. The other gal got eliminated. But I'm really enjoying the show and I think I'm going to keep watching. So, what about you, Gloria? Did you watch it?
I've actually watched two, so I guess I'm a little ahead of you. So I'm not going to talk about the second one. Um, I think that what is her name? I think the Mark's mom's name is Shirley. And
Sure.
Shirley was she was a little harsh, when you do this dance, I want to see more of it. And Derek was like, but there's a lot. I mean, it's like, what didn't you see? So I think that from a judging perspective, they're going to have to like come together a little bit. Like, what are we all looking for so that when they give the feedback, it'll be more positive. Derek was adamant to the men. The women are way better at this. They're embracing it and they're showing up and showing out. And if you all are serious, you better work on it. So that was also very interesting. And like Rosetta, I'm going to check it out because one of these individuals will be in the fall season. I think it's awesome that they're given an opportunity for people who love the show to learn about the pro before they hit the show. Because sometimes people just show up and we have no idea who they are. So this is pretty interesting.
But I do wish that they wouldn't just pick one pro. They would have a guy and a girl. That's what I'm hoping,
Yes.
wishing, but they're not going to do that because they said it's only down to one person that's going to be a pro.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it would be awesome if it was one and one and both of them were given the opportunity for the fall season.
Yep, yep, yep. So
Yes.
if you've been watching, what do you think? Who are you enjoying?
Um,
Or
I actually like what was her name? I wrote her name down because it was they actually got Shirley to go, oh my goodness.
was it the two
Um,
women at the end?
yes. And she was talking about how the movements were, you know, beautiful. And she said that like Derek, they like the girl dancers more than the guys. So I think the guys better show up and show out or they're going to get sent home.
Yeah, exactly.
So the long-awaited movie, The Odyssey, dropped on Friday. They have been talking about this movie. It is a Christopher Nolan movie. He is pretty infamous in the movies that he directs. And people were, on one hand, they were kind of complaining about the theme and how it laid out. But just to give you some idea, Matt Damon, Zendaya, Tom Holland, Travis Scott, um, let's see who else, Robert Patterson, Charlize Theron, Benny, um, what is his
Elliot
name? Benny
Page,
Safdie. Huh?
Elliot Page, Tom Holland, Zendaya. I think
Yes. I
those, yeah.
mean, they have some really high high
Oh, Anne
actors.
Hathaway. Did you say Anne Hathaway?
Well, I was saving her for last.
Oh,
So
okay.
Anne, number one, Anne is pregnant with her third child. And she looked amazing and her performance was really good. They said that when she came to set, she came prepared to deliver. So I thought that was awesome. So in the United States, the film did, I think it was like 134, or I know it was over $100 million, but the combined worldwide release was $264 million. So the people who've been naysaying, they should be quiet because this is entertainment. And like Matt Damon said that there were scenes that he did and he didn't know how he could do it because he just didn't know, and they came out wonderful. So have you seen the Odyssey? Are you planning to go see it?
Yes, I'm actually going to plan. I plan to go and see it on Friday, and it's been hard to get tickets. People have been saying, but we got our tickets a long, long time ago. So
Excellent.
yes, so we're looking forward to that. And yeah, with all these stars, it's amazing how he can bring all these stars because he did the
Yes.
last one was Oppenheimer, and that was he put
Yes.
together a lot of stars there, and that also included Matt Damon, and he brought back Matt Damon as well for this one. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just these actors are top notch, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Excellent. And once she goes and see it, we'll talk about it.
Yes, yes, yes. So, did you watch the final game on what was it? Sunday.
Sunday. Yes.
July the 19th. It was the FIFA World Cup final game, Spain versus Argentina, and they were playing in New Jersey. I'm sure you heard about it or you watched it or whatever you did, you saw some of it. And it was a very, very intense game. I didn't know who I was rooting for, but I did really like Spain. And
Yes.
finally, Spain did win 1-0 in overtime. Now,
Yes.
it was a very intense game because Spain, they brought it. They really had the ball the majority of the time,
Yes.
and they were there to win it. So I'm pretty glad that they did win it. I don't really know all the rules and regulations of football. It's 0-0, so they did go to overtime, and I don't know like how long they get for overtime. But in the end, Spain did win, and I'm so glad they did. The halftime show was pretty good. It featured Madonna coming out, and then there was the Muppets, and then Justin Bieber came, BTS, Shakira. I thought that everyone was upbeat besides Justin Bieber. And I was like,
Right.
is he really going to sing this song for this halftime show? It kind of
Yeah.
brought the energy very, very down, down very low, very low. That's what I was meant to say. But I really loved, and I had to go back on YouTube and watch each segment of the halftime show. Because if you watch,
Right.
I loved Shakira's because she had those little kids out there dancing with her. Oh my God, they
Yes.
are amazing dancers. Amazing. I'm like, they're going to grow up to be
Yes.
stars. And I kept watching, and I'm like, they're so happy. They're so little, like bundles of joy. I loved it. What did you think, Gloria?
I also loved watching the World Cup. At the end of the first half, it was still 0-0, and I thought, oh my God. And I really like the way they infused caricatures with live people. So they had kids on the field, they had the Muppets, and they were just like was beating his drum. Everything was really, really good. Madonna, kicked it off, and BTS kind of wrapped it up. They are some amazing young men. I would love to know what their voices sound like, not auto-tuned. They're amazing dancers. So lots of talent. And they have their own style. So that was really interesting. So we're watching the game, and so I think it was the second, I think it was the second overtime. And all of a sudden, because a lot of people were saying that Argentina wasn't, they weren't there to win. Spain was there to win because Spain had the ball most of the time of the
Yeah.
game. So the ball is in play, and the Spaniard guy, the first guy, kicks the ball down and it bounces, and the other guy hits the ball and it goes in and it scores. And I told Phil, I was like, oh my God, that was an amazing play. I am an American football girl, so I know more about our football. However, it was really interesting to watch the game. It was also kind of like a sad farewell because where we live, we were one of the host states, and there's been people walking around, you hear all different forms of language. And it's just been really, really beautiful being a part of a melting pot. And it's sad that everybody's kind of going back their own separate ways. But I hope everyone will now know that Americans are sweet, kind, loving people. And don't judge the book by the cover, because we are all awesome. And we loved hosting you all. And in 4 years, I don't know where it's going to be. I want that country to have the experience that we had and to have that enjoyment, because everybody thought the game might have gotten canceled because the smoke that was, drifting over from Canada. It was pretty, as you see, the sun came out and it was a great game. So congratulations, Spain. I know your people, when you got home, they were so excited. So congratulations.
Yeah, and now that the FIFA World Cup is over, you'd be surprised how much people spent on coming to America for these tickets and the whole trip, because I was
Yes.
watching some videos and some people paid as much as like per ticket, $12,000 per ticket. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
There was one person
Yeah.
that was interviewed. He said he went to every single game. I'm like, how is that even possible to go to every single game? Crazy, crazy, crazy. And then you don't
Yeah,
buy.
they say they save their money, like they save for years, so that when they get the opportunity, they don't care what it costs.
I know, it's crazy, crazy.
So last week we told you that right now, in the United States, they're having this big discussion about, do we leave the time at the normal time? Do we stop fast forwarding and fall back and all of that? Well, the U.S. House passed the Bipartisan Sun Protection Act, which is the bill where right now we're springing forward. Normally, in October, we would spring back to normal time. So the House has passed it. Now it goes to the Senate. There's 19 states, including California, that passed legislation to act permanent daylight saving time. But you need federal law, congressional approval to make it a state law. So I just think that in the winter, if you leave it at this time zone where we currently are, children are going to be getting up in the dark, going to school in the dark, getting out of school in the dark. I just don't see how that's going to work out. So what do you think about this new time zone change?
Well, like I said last week, I'm okay. Well, I do prefer longer nights. I mean, I don't want it to be dark at 4 p.m., 3:30, 4 p.m. That's not what I really want. But then again, like you said, I don't want the kids to be going to school in the dark. So either way, you can't win either way. So I just go with the flow. It's what it is. Whatever it is, it is. Because either way, you can't
Yeah,
win. But I do like the longer daylight time out there, which is nice.
yes. So it's in the Senate's hands, and we'll let you know what happens. Kind of along the same lines, our weather patterns have just been crazy. So we had the Canadian flyers. So the smoke has been wafting all across the top of the United States. Chicago was socked in. New York, New Jersey. I mean, it's just been very, very smoky. So the East Coast is experiencing a significant weather split today with strong, potentially severe thunderstorms. And they're packing damaging winds and flash floodings. You see cars, the whole car is just stuck in the water um, across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. So the Southeast coast is bracing for heavy tropical rainfall, and an increasing flood threat is driven by the moisture extending from the Gulf. So all along the East Coast, they're having lots of rains, and they're under tropical storm Bertha. And Bertha could produce between 1 to 3 inches of water. And Bertha is also along the East Louisiana coast. So New Orleans is getting pounded by water. Now, years ago, they had a problem with just New Orleans was just really, really bad. People had to go to their local stadium to stay. Their homes were flooded. So they put in this dam. The dam has already closed in preparation for the additional rain that's coming. So this torrential rain that's impacting the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, they're expecting about 60 million residents to be affected by the flood. And this is also causing flight delays. I think Monday they had about 2,400 cancellations. So these storms, even though they're separate, they're kind of lining up and creating a lot of havoc. So if it wasn't enough that we have states experiencing all this wet, we also have tornadoes. It's like, people are walking outside and they look and their whole roof line has just been ripped off their homes. The I guess you would say like the tornadoes are touching down in central Pennsylvania. They had an EF2. Huntington County, they had an EF0. Clark County, Ohio, they also had a tornado. And Wisconsin and Iowa had tornadoes. And one of the things that they're saying is an EF0 is the weakest and an EF5 is the strongest. So hearing that we're having EF2s, they're still doing significant damage. So if you happen to live in one of these states, please be careful. If you hear the sirens, when I lived in Louisiana, if a tornado was forecast, they would send off these sirens and they would be really, really loud. And we all had a place where we were supposed to go. I don't care if it was 3 o'clock in the morning. You get up, you get out of the bed, and you go to this location. For me, it was our high school and it was downstairs in the basement. So if you have emergency evacuation procedures, please, please follow them.
Wow. It's crazy to think here we are in the middle of summer and you're still
Yes,
getting all these tornadoes. Like we said before, me and Glory we've been, this is not the first time. We talk about weather every single week because it's such
yes,
a significant part of our lives now that it's changing so drastically. You don't even have four seasons anymore. Where summer, you can still get tornadoes, you can be flooded, you're getting heat waves when there's not normally heat waves. Is crazy. And I'm feeling like I don't know, it's just all we did this to our globe, I mean to our
yeah,
planet. This is crazy, not even just in the US. We've also talked about things happening outside of the US, like in Europe and stuff. They're having fires and
yeah.
everything. And
And
then,
heat waves, it's still
yeah,
hot.
heat
I was
wave
talking to someone that's in Italy, and it's still hot because their home structures are stones, they're rocks, and the heat just like absorbs and it just stays. They're miserable.
is really, really crazy. Like I remember not too long ago, I was talking about the story of Greece where they kept having what is it? Earthquakes, earthquakes, a
Yes,
lot of earthquakes. This is we just have to be a bit more conscious of our efforts to help our planet because like I
yes,
keep saying they're predicting that by 2050, we may not, some cities may not even be on the map anymore. They're going to be
Exactly.
underwater. So
If we can't get people to change,
yeah, we need to do something. There has to be programs put in place and consequences. But it has to all stem from top down. We can only do as
yes,
much as we can do, but there has to be consequences. So we'll keep an eye
yes, I
on it
agree.
every week. And I want to still talk about how we can help the planet in one of our future chats. That's what I want to talk about.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Wow. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you all for, hanging with us to the end. We hope that, you learned something that you can take and part of your life, like we're talking about the planets. You cannot keep doing things that we're doing now. We see the results. So how about we start looking at ways to turn it back and not do a lot of things? There's a big conversation now about data centers. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about, Mother Earth, because these data centers are going to take a lot of resources. And that's why states are waking up and they're like, oh, not here. You're not going to build one here. And they're lying and they're pretending, oh, we're not doing that. We're just doing research and development. A data center is a data center is a data center. So pay attention to what you hear. If there are elections that are to change certain things that are going on in your community, pay attention and see what these changes are, because they're not always straightforward with, we're going to make this change and it's for the betterment, but then they put 6 or 8 things underneath it that are not good. So read all your documents and just be prepared. We're so grateful that you hung out with us. And like I said, we hope you learned something new. So thank you so much for hanging out. We feel the love that you send to us and we send it back to you
Bubbling over
bubbling cold.
always.
Yes. So go
Always.
out and share it with the world.
Yes, and don't forget to drink your teas. We love our tea.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
are
do. Yes, we
Silicon
do.
Valley girls chat over tea. And remember to always
Please
keep smiling.
keep smiling.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone. Bye bye.